We navigate the modern world relying on a remarkably narrow set of tools. We look to secular science, shifting social trends, and immediate material gains to tell us who we are and what we should value. When we accept the premise that existence strictly begins at birth and ends in the grave, something inside us hollows out. This purely material loop creates a spiritual blind spot, leaving us unable to perceive anything beyond the immediate physical world. Because our logic is bound by what we can see, we become trapped by our own sensory limitations. To perceive the reality existing beyond those limits, the mind requires an external point of reference, a source of information that originates outside our own physical experiences. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, described Surah Al-Baqarah as the climax of the Quran. This text operates as a deeply precise philosophical mirror. It is designed to test exactly how the human mind reacts when confronted with absolute truth. How we respond to this text, our internal psychological reaction to its demands, dictates whether we succeed or fail as conscious beings. The text immediately identifies three distinct cognitive profiles. The first is the believer, or the successful brain. This mindset is defined by a deep-seated gratefulness and a lack of cognitive bias, allowing for a clear-eyed trust in realities that exist beyond the visible horizon. At the opposite end is the disbeliever. This is a mind entirely consumed by worldly desires, where the ego has essentially placed a thick seal over the heart, actively blocking out the light. These two groups represent the furthest extremes of human cognition, but the real danger, the mindset that quietly dismantles societies, is found somewhere in the middle. That brings us to the third and most dangerous psychology, the hypocrite. This profile is defined by specific diseases of the heart. They harbor an overwhelming love for the physical world, a deeply rooted internal hypocrisy, and a quiet, burning jealousy against the truth. They suffer from a massive psychological hitch. During times of ease and comfort, they will confidently shout slogans of faith. But the moment a cause demands the actual sacrifice of wealth, life, or status, they instantly panic. Their immediate internal response is, "We cannot do this." Because they are so attached to material benefit, they view true believers as fools for giving up worldly gains. They think they are cleverly deceiving God and the believers, completely unaware that they are only tricking themselves. This mindset operates as a systemic rot. When individuals with this psychology infect a movement, they become an active hurdle, destroying righteous causes from the inside out. These individual psychologies scale up to shape macro history. The cognitive failures of a single mind eventually dictate the rise and fall of entire civilizations. This chart shows the structural breakdown of Surah Al-Baqarah. The first 18 sections operate as a precise legal indictment. They detail the exact psychological failures that led to the deposition of the former Ummah, the children of Israel. The subsequent 22 sections then outline the appointment of the new Ummah, shifting the weight of cosmic responsibility to the followers of Prophet Muhammad. This historical transition places a massive burden directly on us. The survival of this new nation depends entirely on whether its individuals cultivate the successful brain or fall victim to the disease of hypocrisy. The challenge to produce even a single chapter like it targets the foundation of human self-sufficiency. It suggests that if our own collective intellect cannot replicate the text, then human intellect cannot be the ultimate source of truth. It forces a critical question: who is your true mudabbir, the actual director and manager of your life? You have to examine the root of your cognition. Are your thought patterns, your psychology, and your philosophies sourced from the creator of the universe? Or have you anchored your decisions to a hollow, worldly substitute? Confronting this challenge requires us to tear down our assumptions and completely realign how we perceive reality. Once you accept that divine source, the strict, narrow view of existence shatters. You begin to understand the actual human life cycle. This visualization maps out the complete cycle as explained by the companion Abdallah bin Masud. We experience 2 deaths and 2 lives. We began as souls in the spiritual realm. We underwent our first death, essentially a state of sleep, before being awakened in the womb. We will eventually face our second physical death, which leads directly to the final, ultimate resurrection. Our existence spans a vast spiritual timeline that stretches far beyond our current physical environment. Surah Al-Baqarah asks us to look closely at our reflection. It demands we abandon the cowardly hesitations of hypocrisy, recognize our eternal nature, and align our minds entirely with absolute faith.